Do you want fantastic and nice looking trees for your model railroad? Well, then you need to go talk to the layout master. His handcrafted model trees come in a variety of seasons. They will look right at home on your HO or O gauge layout. I've also purchased one of these trees and plan on getting more. Click the link in the description of this video to get your fantastic trees from the layout master today. Coming soon from Denell Productions is a new series called What If? It's a series when we take hypothetical railroad situations and act them out in Train Simulator. Some of the scenarios are stuff that really did almost happen in the railroad industry, while others is more of something I've came up with. Some will be short videos, while others will be longer ones in the style of a Pen Tracks documentary. Also coming next year is a brand new season of the Southern United Railroad. We'll of course see Larry and some old friends, along with some new ones. Now for our feature presentation. It was a very busy time for all the engines. Christmas was fast approaching. Passenger and freight trains were longer and heavier, and more was also added to the schedule on top of that. There was no time for any delays. One evening, Larry picked up some freight cars from the military base. As he made his way along the main line, he saw Dennis and Aiden at the junction. "Hey Larry, have you heard the news?" Dennis asked. "What news?" inquired Larry. "There's gonna be a huge snowstorm tonight," he answered. Larry was puzzled. "I could have sworn my driver listened to the radio earlier. They were supposed to be more like a wet, non-sticky snow." "Well, not anymore," chuckled Dennis. "They're expecting a big temperature drop." "Dad said he's gonna bring me out to see the snow trains tomorrow," Aiden added excitedly. "Good luck catching them," Larry smiled, and he continued on his way. Aiden and Dennis were right. Overnight, it began to snow heavily. By daybreak, the whole railroad was covered in a white blanket. Amber and Roger were called out at midnight to clear all the lines. "Thank goodness for Amber and Roger," sighed Kevin. "Oh yes," agreed Samiyah. "That way, we don't have to deal with the snow ourselves." But Samiyah was going to be proven wrong. "Samiyah," said Alex, "I would like for you to collect the snowplow and clean the Bridgewater branch." "The Bridgewater branch," pondered Samiyah. "But we only use that line in spring and summer." "All lines must be cleared no matter what," Alex said firmly. Samiyah puffed off in an annoyed huff to collect the snowplow from the maintenance shed. Alex then had news of a special for Larry and Scion. "There's going to be a Christmas festival at Middletown today. Scion, I would like for you to collect the special cookies and crackers from the yard. And Larry, I would like for you to collect some eggnog from Bill's Dairy." "Thank you so much, Alex," smiled Scion. "We won't let you down," added Larry. Scion went to the yard to collect his train, while Larry puffed past the coaling tower to head to Bill's Dairy. Bill was happy to see Larry. "Larry, me friend, how's it going?" he shouted. "Pretty good," Larry replied in kind. Larry was coupled to the train and they began to perform a brake test. A few minutes went by before Victor said, "That air's pumping up a long ton. We better check the train." Victor, along with Larry's driver and farmer, walked along the train. And sure enough, an air hose had been broken. "Bother!" snapped Larry. "I'll be late now." They worked hard to fix the air hose, and after another brake test, which was successful, they puffed away. Meanwhile, Samiyah was struggling against the snowdrift. Come on, she groaned. She hated the assignment that she had been given. Soon she arrived at a drift that was tougher than the most. She puffed as hard as she could, but she couldn't get the snow to budge. Then Samiyah had an idea. "We only use this branch in the spring and summer. I'm pretty sure if I just didn't move the snow, Alex would ever find out. The snow will be melted by the time someone comes down here." So Samiyah backed away, leaving the line uncleared. Larry was racing along the main line trying to make up for lost time. He soon arrived at a junction where a red signal greeted him. "Oh, for crying out loud!" he shouted. "What's going on now?" "Chrissy was taking a coal train when it derailed," explained Taylor. No sooner had Taylor finished her sentence, Michelle raced by with a wrecked train. "What am I supposed to do now? I have eggnog to be delivered." Victor walked up to the clearly aggravated engine. "I just spoke to the tower operator. He said we could take the Bridgewater branch. It meets the Lodi branch further up. That will take us around the wreckage." Larry began to calm down a little. "That's way better than sitting here," he said. The switches were changed, and Larry headed up the Bridgewater branch. Samiyah did wonders clearing this line, he said to himself. But he had spoken too soon. As he arrived at the top of a large hill, he saw where she had left off plowing. "Whoa, driver, do something!" he called. His driver applied the brakes, but his wheels just skidded along the icy rails. Larry shut his eyes and plowed into the snowdrift. Larry wasn't hurt or off the rails, but he was stuck fast. His driver opened his throttle wide in an attempt to free him, but it was no use. Larry's wheels just spun in place. Victor, who couldn't stand the cold, had to walk to find a telephone. Jaws and Dusty, the two twin diesels, arrived. Larry was uncoupled from his train, and they towed it back to the junction. Michelle had finished clearing up the coal train derailment, so she came with the crane to pull Larry free of the drift. While all this was going on, Samiyah was resting in South Plainsville Roundhouse. She was beginning to depart to pick up another train when Mr. Wu and Mr. Cushman stopped her. "Samiyah, you can't go anywhere yet," Mr. Wu said. "Miss Caldwell has to speak to you." "Gee, I wonder what for," Samiyah wondered. Just then, Michelle pulled in, pulling Larry, who looked more like a snow cone than an engine. Miss Caldwell stepped out of her cab and went over to Samiyah. "When Alex tells you to do something, it needs to be done, no matter what your opinion." Samiyah quickly put two and two together and realized what had happened. "I'm sorry, Miss Caldwell," apologized Samiyah, "but I figured since we only use the line in the spring and summer that doesn't mean a thing," she thundered. "All lines must be kept open in case of an emergency, like what happened today with that derailment. You're lucky poor Larry here wasn't hurt." Samiyah looked over at Larry. "Larry, I'm so sorry this happened to you." Larry just glared. He was in no mood to talk to her, so he asked Michelle to take him to the maintenance shed so he could thaw out. The next day, a very angry Alex sent Samiyah again to clear the Bridgewater branch. "I'm never going to get through this drift," Samiyah said sadly. Just then, she heard a whistle. It was Larry coming up behind her. "Larry, what are you doing here? I thought you were mad at me." "I am still," Larry said, a little annoyed. "But I felt sorry that you have to be out here by yourself, especially with this stubborn drift. So I've decided to come help you." Samiyah beamed. Larry coupled up behind. They huffed and puffed, and soon they managed to break the drift. The two friends then spent the rest of the afternoon clearing the rest of the branch. By late afternoon, the job was finished, and they headed back to South Plainsville. Larry, again, I'm really sorry about your accident, Samiyah said. It's okay. I forgive you, Larry smiled. I can't stay mad, especially during this time of the year, when friendship is so important. Samiyah smiled in agreement. Their signal soon changed to green, and they were switched back onto the main line to head back to South Plainsville. After a full day of plowing heavy snow, there's nothing an engine likes better than a nice, warm, cozy shed.